The Florida Gators beat the Mississippi State Bulldogs 45-28 on the road. Billy Napier has won on average one road game per season. Hey, undefeated on the road, not the same record at home. Let's talk about it here. Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, wherever it's in the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Saturday. It's a victory Saturday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. And so Florida won 45-28, which is, hey, you beat a Power 4 opponent for the first time this season. I'll take it, right? I'll take it. I'm not going to harp too much on some things. I will say that, for me at least, the offense looked a lot better than usual. Looked a bit more open than we've previously seen. It wouldn't shock me if Ron Roberts stopped calling defensive plays, because that was rough. There was a lot with coaching that just felt odd. It wouldn't shock me for offense if Russ Callaway had more of a hand in the offense this week. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying he was calling plays, but maybe he played more of a part in the game planning part. It just seemed more open than it usually does with Florida. And maybe I'm wrong. We'll see by the watchbacks, but I feel like it felt more open this week offensively. I know that one thing that a lot of Florida, also, if you're new here, we will talk a lot about the chat in the second half of this. We got a super chat. I didn't even know that we had that. All right. Ball, Childs, Mizell need to be starters ASAP. I'm glad that you mentioned Ball, which thank you very much, Jeffrey. I'm glad you mentioned Ball, because that's where I was about to get to. I was about to get to the running back rotation of, I don't think that Montrell has looked as bad as some fans think he's looked, or as bad as some fans say he's looked. But I do think he's played worse than the other running backs. If that makes sense. I'm just saying, I don't think he's been as bad as some people think, but he's definitely been less productive and less effective than the other running backs. I think Jaden Ball runs just angry. I don't think Jaden Ball or Jacoby Jackson really have top speed like that, but I think they run angry. And again, all right, one of the things with Montrell is that he's consistently hit at the line and he doesn't generate after that, right? I feel like both Jacoby Jackson and Jaden Ball have more power as runners, and they get through. And so, well, I'd rather take a 4-yard gain than a 2-yard gain, right? I think that they've also been more explosive. I need to give a round of applause here for Trayon Webb, because Trayon Webb is someone that this offseason, I know that a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to be such a good running back too. I was skeptical. I don't think that his film last year was good, and I still don't think his film last year was good. But he's taken strides this offseason. He runs a lot more physical this year. He does. He's running way more powerful this year than previously. He's legitimately maybe your best pass blocking running back right now. Like, I was watching that Texas A&M game, and I posted the clip where there was, again, it was end of the half, so defense was playing soft, but he had a big run. Then he laid someone out in pass pro, and then he had another solid run. And it's like, that's a fun little sequence there. Would like to see Trayon Webb play more, played decently. I think that my thing is that I'm fine with Montrell being the starter. I'm fine with Montrell getting more carries than the other backs, but I think Jaden Ball, Jacoby Jackson, and Trayon Webb all need more carries. Like this game, the split was Montrell 15, Jaden Ball 4, Trayon Webb 8, and Jacoby Jackson 3. I think, maybe we saw, or maybe if we see Montrell 10, Jaden Boss 6, Trayon Webb 10, Jacoby Jackson 5 or 6. Like, if we just saw that come down so it's more balanced, I think that'd really benefit the team. But also it's important to remember that this Mississippi State defense is horrendous. Terrible. Just absolutely terrible. Like, there was that one long run by Jaden Baugh where he just like wasn't touched. And I know the commentators kind of pulled up the clip and they were like, look at the seal here by the right guard and right tackle. And you look, and by the time they even touch anybody, Jaden Baugh's by them. Like, there was just nobody there, and he just ran through an open gap. So I want to take into account that this is a truly terrible defense that Florida just played. You know how I know it's a terrible defense? Because this is the most points that a Billy Napier-led Florida Gators team has scored against an FBS opponent. Yeah. Most points they've scored, 45. Previous highs were 41 against Texas A&M in 2022 and 41 against South Carolina last year. So most points they've scored against an FBS opponent. That's how you know this is a terrible defense that they played. Also, look at the completion percentages of Graham and DJ. DJ didn't throw an incompletion. Graham threw 2. That was it. And one of Graham's incompletions was a really bad one. I think it was to Tony Livingston that just went right by and would have gotten picked if it was a little higher up. What do we have? Playing the UCF rushing attack should be fun. Yeah, that's going to be brutal. So Mississippi State, not a great rushing team, had 240 yards. Granted, 4.5 yards per carry. It's 56 carries they had. Blake Shapen had 32 of those yards. Michael Van Buren lost 5. This is going to, like, I think that UCF offense is just going to pummel me, but I thought that before. That was one of my things for the Texas A&M game. That's why I predicted, like, when I did my predictions with Andrew Stefaniak the Thursday before the Texas A&M game, I said, I think you're going to lose this game because I don't think you can stop this rushing attack. I think that this this Texas A&M rushing attack from Kansas State last year is just far too explosive and creative. And UCF's going to do the same thing to you. RJ Harvey and Penny Boone are just going to pummel you. It's going to be really tough. Mudkip, the goal line stop was huge. Again, we'll get to the chat in a minute. I wanted to talk about some other things. You know, the second half of the show, we get to the chat. Aiden Mizell needs to play more. The first touchdown that he caught and then got called back was clearly down. But I respect, didn't hear a whistle, so I'm going to run. I really respect that. Second one got called back on a blindside block where the defender ran into the blocker. Okay. All right. I guess that was just, yeah, I don't know what the hell that one was. But Aiden Mizell needs to play more. He is just so dynamic. It's just one of those things where people have been talking about it of, yeah, like play Aiden, play the young guys, play the playmakers. Playmakers made plays. Also, Hayden Hansen touchdown. I mean, come on, 35-yard touchdown. Come on. Let the big guy just run up the seam. Let the big guy run up the seam and just go. Jeff Doherty said, fire Armstrong. D-line gets zero pressure. DBs suck. Ron Roberts is calling the defense. I've said that I don't think Mike Peterson's a very good defensive coach. And I think that we've kind of proven that, right? He's the only coach, or one of the only coaches that's been here every year. He's the only coach that's been here every year on the defense. And the edge group is terrible every year. I really don't get it. I have all respect for him as a player and as a Gator. I don't get it as a defensive coach. No pass rush ever. It's infuriating. So there's that. I will also say this before. Actually, I'll say this. We've got to get to an ad break, but I will say this when we come back about the Ron Roberts comment that he made, or that the ESPN told us during the game, that is just wild to me. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% benefits are now available only for $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood Gold or robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Remember that. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right. When you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, so much more. And you can make a lot of money. I took the over. I don't know why I didn't talk about that yesterday's show. I was like, I'm going to take Mississippi State to cover. I'm going to put a little bit on Mississippi State to win. I hammered the over for this game because, why wouldn't you? It was 58.5. That's easy money there. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And so Ron Roberts made a comment to ESPN that they talked about during the game that was wild to me. First off, this defense is sorry. But Ron Roberts said that he wasn't sure if these defensive players still believe in each other. That is an insane thing for a coach to say. Where's the comment from Jeff? There it is. The D-line gets zero pressure. Yep, they do. DBs suck. I will say this. I think the corners played pretty well today. I think that the safeties had a rough day for the most part. But corners, pretty good there. It's just wild. I can't believe that Ron Roberts said that he wasn't sure these defensive players believe in each other. I think it's more likely that they don't believe in Ron Roberts than anything else. I do. Going to the chat like we do for the second half of the show, always. Who is 29 on defense? 29 on defense is Jaden Robinson, a high school safety turned linebacker. He is I want to say true sophomore because I think he burned his red shirt last year on special teams, which is fine by me. I don't think Jaden Robinson should be playing much. It's definitely rough. But he's also someone that's learning the position, trying to play this defense that is clearly just, I don't know if they have to dumb it down, but I feel like they're trying to do too much because there's just constant breakdowns, constant communication errors. It's interesting. Medkip said excited for Wednesday's show. He's going to be beaming. Oh my! Let me tell you, I'm not gonna get up and do it. But I was watching the game, and I have never shot up out of my seat so fast when he broke the tackle. Like when he took the hit to the hip, I was like, "Oh, he's a big dude. That might throw him off a bit." But when he got through, I shot up out of my seat. I was so happy for him. I'm excited. I'm excited for Wednesday's show too. I'm gassed to talk about. Talk about a win. Talk about an SEC win. Talk about the 35-yard touchdown. And the moment he scored, I was like, oh, he's doing it. And yeah, he shot the bow and arrow. It was fun. It's great because, if you've been watching Locked On Gators for the past 3 seasons, if you've been watching Locked On Gators during the Billy Napier era, then you've known that every Wednesday during the season, Hayden Hansen has been on this show. And so it's wild because we saw him go from red shirt tight end that didn't touch the field a single time during his freshman season. Now he's a starter. Got his second touchdown of the season. Second, I think second. Might have been his first actually, but he got the touchdown. He got to do the celebration. It's a great thing to see. First touchdown, but he had a 40-yard gain. That's what it was. Rob asked, the edge is dropping into coverage half the damn time. I've told everybody, I feel like I kind of like that meme of someone holding their arms up and just taking arrows in the back. I feel like that's what happened when Princely left. I feel like I pretty openly was talking about why Princely left. And part of it was because he wanted to rush the passer. He's dropping in coverage 25% of the time, and now they're dropping edges into coverage even more. These guys want to rush the passer. Let them rush the passer. That's what they're going to get drafted for. That's what they're going to get paid for. That's what you're paying them for now. NIL, that's what you're paying them for. When we talk about the building blocks that we talk about a lot of quarterback, offensive tackle, receiver, edge rusher, and corner, you know what all those things have in common? They are all pillars to the passing attack. Stop dropping edge rushers into coverage incessantly. Like, I support creepers and sim pressures and dialing things up and trying to hide. I get that completely. You're just doing it too much, and you're really losing pressures that your edge guys could be bringing you, which, again, I mean, they're not doing a good job of it anyway, but it's just, it's too much dip on the chip, you know? These coaches are the problem. Ankle biters are the answers to our problems. It's because of the scheme. Uman Mielen was doing the same thing last year, except for some plays. Yeah, so when you say I thought Ron Roberts was a defensive guru, that's the thing. Like, he used to be. What he was doing at Delta State was way ahead of his time. I just think he hasn't adjusted with the time. And I feel like it might have been one of those things, because like you look at 2021 Baylor, and schematically they were putting offenses in boxes. Like they were dominant with him. I think it's that the game has adapted to that kind of defense, and so many teams, a lot of teams play a similar defense that Ron Roberts kind of introduced at Delta State. And I think now so many defenses run it that so many offenses can attack it. And a lot of DCs that we're now seeing as, oh, he might be the next big thing. It's that they've taken that defense, but they've evolved with it. And I don't think Ron Roberts has evolved with it. And so that's my thought of why this team has been so awful, is that while it was ahead of its time previously, now you're outdated because football moves so fast. So I think now you're outdated, and that's the issue. In my non-coaching opinion, I will say that Jason Marshall had a great tackle. Happy for him. Jason Marshall's played well this year. And like I've said, like I think I've been one of his biggest critics since I took over the show. He's been playing well this year. I can't fault him too much. 12 keeps trotting his, you know what, out there. Yeah, he shouldn't be. I mean, I've been saying that. I had a guy in my comments a couple weeks ago when I said that. It was just like, well, 12 can light you up. And it's like, yeah, I'm probably the only person he can light up. That's not saying much. I'm 5'11", 170 pounds. That's nothing. Like that makes no sense to me there. I will also say, by the way, patting myself on the back for a few calls with specifically like tight end. I've been saying I want to see the Hayden Hansen, Tony Livingston duo. That's the duo that started and Arliss still rotated in. I like it like that with all three rotating in. Whoever starts. I think that Hayden and Tony as a duo is really fun, especially when you don't use Arliss how you should be using Arliss, of letting him play as more of a pass-catching role. They still shouldn't decide whether Napier stays or goes. No, and not at all. I don't think there's a single game, unless you go out there and blow out Georgia and then beat Texas. That's the only way that you could even maybe convince me that he can get it done and he should stay. That's it. Anything else, I'm out on. But if you can do those things, then yeah, I'll say you deserve more time. Let it loose like you do it. Which David is that? I don't know which David that is saying that. But yeah, I can't. Did FS Pooh win today? Did they play yet? I thought they played later. Napier still getting kicked out. Yes, please. Facts. I don't think they believe in him. Hey, Brandon, I enjoy your show, dude. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that you're from Alabama, but I go there every year for the Senior Bowl. So thank you for tuning in. I want Lane Kiffin as our new coach. I think a lot of people do. I'm not going to say I don't. Hayden's a GOAT. So happy for Hayden. Does his job right. Can score, can block. Why didn't they change Denson's cleats? Dude, I don't know. Sharif Denson looks nice, though. I'm not going to lie to you. Sharif Denson looks good. I like the fact that he's pretty small looking, like he's pretty lean looking, and they just put him on the edge, and they're like, yeah, man, just let it fly. Just let it rock. is wild stuff to me. Just that he's capable of doing that is just cool as hell. Let's see what else was. It's still hard to know how good the offense really. Yeah, it's hard because they scored 45, but it was against a Mississippi State team that no knock to Toledo. We respect Toledo here. No knock to Toledo, but they scored 41 against Mississippi State, and they allowed less points against Mississippi State. So tough for me to be too jazzed about it. Montreal shouldn't be the starting back, in my opinion. I think that's a fair opinion. So Ron Roberts is washed. I think so. I think it's a fair opinion to say Montreal shouldn't be the starting back. Like, I'm not fighting anybody for it. Like I said, like, I'm fine with it. I just think that there should be a balanced split of the carries. So when I say that, it's like, I don't even care who's the starter, right? Like, if everybody's getting between like 6 and 10 carries, is there really a starter? I don't think so. I'm fine with the running back by committee approach. Webb doesn't get the ball enough on O. I agree with you. I would like to see them throw the ball to Tran Webb more, because I feel like that's one thing where he doesn't get the ball that much. But when he was in high school, I remember talking about him from, like, when we were talking about him as a high school recruit, so much of his hype was, oh, he's a great runner and receiver. And so I just don't get why you're not throwing the ball to him. Would have liked to see Gums be more disruptive. Yeah, I mean, it sucks when you're dropping into coverage 30% of your snaps, but I agree. Would be nice to see. It's easy to see that our defense is worse with a new defensive staff. Yeah, I mean, give Ron Roberts a little severance package. Give Austin Armstrong the play calling duty back. And, like, I know Ron Roberts is also your linebacker coach. That's what Austin Armstrong was hired to do at Alabama before he took the defensive coordinator job here. Let Austin Armstrong handle that. Here, don't worry. Way to go, Billy. Let's give him a 30. Okay, no. Nobody is saying that, man. That's wild. I know you're being facetious, but come on now. ESPN announcers suck on commentary. Hot take. Almost all commentators suck. I mean, there's very few that I even stomach. I watch a lot of games on mute. I can't stand commentators. Do you agree with Napier deciding what downs the quarterbacks rotate? So I'm torn on that part. Yeah, I'm torn on predetermining when quarterbacks play, because there's keep the hot hand in. Like, if Graham's dealing, let Graham play. I understand the point of, well, if you predetermine who's playing when, then it's not really like, you don't have to worry about the pressure. You don't have to worry about guys playing, like, looking over their shoulder if someone's going to come take up. So I understand that kind of stuff. Because eventually things will crumble. But, I mean, I'd prefer a 50-50 split instead of DJ playing every other drive. Like, I'd prefer a more open split of, hey, like, just go, hey, if you're hot, we're going to keep you in. Simple as that. And DJ, when you go in, we'll give you an extra drive. You're not missing a drive. It's just getting delayed, kind of thing, right? I think that makes sense. At least, again, from my point of view, I think it makes sense to go, hey, Graham's hot. We're going to give him another drive. But DJ, when you go in, we're going to give you an additional drive. So you're not losing anything, just getting delayed. I think that's a fair approach. In the battle for the worst team in the SEC, we won. That's all you're trying to do, right? Looks like you were right about Play Mizell. He needs to play. He's fast. He's dynamic, man. He is. He's crazy dynamic. And also, I will say this. Aiden Mizell looks a lot more nimble than he previously did. He looks less stiff, looks a bit out there. So I'm curious to see if he can probably climb up a bit more. D-line's absolutely not acceptable. Yeah, defensive line is just brutal. Brutal. I do think that the injuries have piled up. The guys look pretty gassed towards the end, but, like, DeAndre Robinson, he looked bad. They were just pummeling the ball right down him. It was tough. I thought win or lose because of the bye week, Napier would be gone. Am I wrong? I don't know. Like, I don't know if Napier was going to be given the boot, win or lose. But I do know that this game has not changed anything that was going to happen. Like, if he was going to get fired this weekend regardless, he was going to get fired this weekend regardless. I don't know if their plan truly was to fire him this weekend regardless. But if it is, this game's not changing anybody's mind. My thing is that I don't know. I feel like this up, and I said it last week or during the week. I said upper administration in the UAA, spineless losers. I have no idea if they're capable of making that call because they should have made the call by now. Should we have a tight end blocking on every play? Basically, need more of them out there. Still want Billy gone after watching the game today or games this year from Gators. How many games do you seriously see them moving forward? How many games do I see them winning? I'm assuming is the question. Not many. I think we're still looking at maybe a ceiling of 5. But even then, I don't expect that. I expect you to lose to UCF. I expect you to lose to Tennessee. I think you can beat Kentucky. I expect you to lose to Georgia, to Texas, to Ole Miss, to LSU, maybe beat Florida State. So I think that you should win the Kentucky and Florida State games, but outside of that, maybe steal a game somewhere, but I'm not confident in this team at all. And next game, I think UCF can just pummel Florida, and I think they will. I think Gus wants to, because why wouldn't you? You've been thought of as little brother to the big 3 in state for years. If I'm Gus and I see and I blood in the water, I'm going for it. So I think that UCF is going to try to just run it up against Florida, regardless of who the coach is, regardless of anything else. I don't think the promise of DJ Lagway is enough to keep Billy around. I think that it might play a hand in who they want to hire next. So there's that. I don't think they'll win any more games. That's fair. I don't doubt you. I don't doubt you, Q. With how relaxed he was last hot seat press conference, he knows something. Yeah, I don't know. It's a wild thing, wild instance right now. Yeah, it's tough. With no one to fill as interim coach, I hope not. I hope they don't keep him. They should just come up with an agreement on who's going to be the new coach, so players and recruits. Yep, I think that behind doors, that's a thing. We're going to wrap this up here because we've been almost 30 minutes, and that's way longer than we usually go here. Would you consider Gus as a potential hire? He's won a championship before. I don't think so. I respect when he won it, but he won it with a unicorn at quarterback. And I don't know if he's got what it takes to put together a defensive staff that will win a national championship here, or put together a staff that will win a national championship here. And that's my bar. I know that a lot of people, I tweeted, I was like, can we stop mentioning every head coach that wins a game as a candidate? Because they shouldn't be the candidate. Because I think that that's where a lot of people are getting kind of twisted with this. The bar for the next Florida Gators head coach shouldn't be, are they better than Billy? It should be, can they win us a national championship? And honestly, the way you should set up your coaching tiers is, can you win us a national championship? Or just set the list of 10 guys that you go, hey, these are the guys that we're interested in. Rank them in terms of, can they win you a national championship? And make every single one of them say no to you until you get a yes. If Lane's the top of that list, then make Lane say no to you. If Lincoln's the top of that list, make Lincoln say no to you. Work down your list, whoever it is. That's where I stand on it. That's where I'm at. And yeah, that's how I feel about the next head coach. It's not being better than Billy. It's, are you great enough to win a national championship here at the University of Florida? Because that's what the fan base deserves. Honestly, I know that there's a lot of people that don't like Florida. They go, oh, your fan base doesn't. I don't care what they think. I think the fan base deserves it. And so that's where I stand on it. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back Monday. Talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.